Hi crafty friends, how are you doing today? My name is Jenn Gross. I go by Journey Coach Jen. I have been a crafter for a number of years, ever since I can remember picking up a crayon or a pencil. But I am part of the team with the Rabbit Hole Designs. I'm one of their brand ambassadors. And this September release is amazing. You're going to find some really interesting and unique products from them right now, and some of them are going to be game changers. So let me introduce you to the first one, but let me show you something we all know. It is the blending brush. This is the Rabbit Hole Designs blending brush. It is their cottontail blending brush. It is fantastic, but look how big that head is. That's going to get a lot of coverage on a lot of different stencils. But what do you do if you want something that's small and detailed? You go to a smaller one of these, or you can go and check out the Rabbit Hole Designs new tool that comes in this wonderful little tube. And yes, I know that this little design is a little bit backwards because of the way I'm showing it to you. I'll show it to you right side up when I flip the camera and show you how to use it. But this tube contains something really amazing. So if we open it up, what you're gonna find inside of this is this little plastic bag. And in this plastic bag is an amazing little itty bitty bunny blending brush. So check that out. This is all bristles. It's got a nice little flex to it, wonderful handle, and it even has a little hanger so you can like put them on a carabiner and hang them up. So these little cool tools, as you can see, allow you to get into those detailed areas of your stencils. So I'm going to show you how to utilize this, but before I do, let's take a closer look at the packaging it comes in, because this tube is pretty amazing because you can reuse it. You can store your blending brushes in here. The bitty bunny blending brush will store in there. You can store them hanging up, or, and this is not my idea, but this is how I'm storing mine, and thank you Deana from the Rabbit Hole Designs brand ambassadors. These little gems fit right in one of these, and this is all, I actually have got every single color for my Concord and Ninth cubes. And so what I've done is I've actually coated them with the large labels that you can get for those specific inks. And so they fit directly around the barrel, and that way I know what I'm getting and what I'm using. But I ended up, for me, I took these off because I wanted to store them upright so I could see them. However, you know, you can also store them in the tubes that they come in. But check this out. You can put the dots of the colors in them and store them all upright in a box so you know which one you're grabbing for, and that way you keep it dry and away from everything. You know, that might gather dust or might get dust from anything that we're working on. You know, maybe you're using some of the pigmented powders and stuff, but this way you've got a clean blending tool every time. This was made by actually blending the ink right here using a piece of that adhesive tape on the back, and then this happens to be a 5/8 inch hole punch, and that 5/8 inch hole punch you can actually fit right on the top of these little tubes. So no matter how you want to store them, you have options. There's a lot of great ways to do that. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at how these blending brushes work. I'm going to use a couple on different stencils that are coming out for this cool September release, and you'll also notice those in a lot of the different photographs that we have that we'll be posting during this release week. So give me a moment and I'll get prepped. Okay, so let's take a closer look at some stenciling here. So again, here are the actual little tubes, and these are the brushes that come in them. So again, they come individually wrapped, ready to go, with the string on them. And again, you determine how you want to store them. If you want to store them in their tubes, you can certainly do so. You don't have to put them back in the bag. You can store them like that, and then store them upright in a box. They don't really take up much room, which is great. Or you can store them vertically or horizontally. The other thing you can do is, because they have these little rope hangers, you can actually put those on a carabiner. And look at how they fit in your hand. They fit really nice. They fit in a good position where you can come in and do some details in your stencil. So I am using the oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of it, the mid-century modern die, or not die, but stencil, I believe. And so I'm going to do some details in here, and I've chosen out a dove gray, aqua sky blue, and a buttercup yellow for my colors. And I have, again, mine I am storing a little bit differently. They store upright like this in this fun little case, not case, but little holder. Again, these holders kind of move differently as far as they've got little openings here, so these fit in just perfectly upright like that. So I have every single color of my Concord and 9th inks, but then I also kept one for black and one for white. I think that's important to have as you are working with your stencils, that you have those neutral colors as well. So this is, I'm going to show you how this works. So I've got my buttercup, my aqua sky, and my dove right here. And then I've got the corresponding ones. And remember, I've got actually the stickers that go around here that go on the big ink pads, but I'm using the small ink pads. So I think I'm going to start with the buttercup, and so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tap that in there and pick up some of that color, and I'm going to do a few of the squares here. So I'm just going to go in here, and you can get right in there and get the squares that you want. You can see that, just doing little circular motions and getting that ink into the area that I want to have stenciled. So you can get into some really great detail here. And so let's do a couple of the triangles. And yes, it's not super fine, but it's enough detail that you can get right into where you need to go and get that little bit of overlap where you have that really, really nice blend on the edges. So you can go in and just do whatever you like with the squares here, a couple there, a couple here, maybe another one over there, and then maybe go in with the dove gray and do a few over here. And again, you can also do that tap off where you come in a little lighter and you're not in so stark with these, but I just want to get some color in these squares here. And again, I'm just doing a random pattern. I just kind of want to see what comes up with what I'm doing, and just making the squares either gray, the dove gray, or the buttercup yellow at this point. So you can see that gets right in there. Then you could go in and you could also just go ahead and work your, gotta get more ink on that one, work your different colors in there. Again, that blending is going to happen naturally so that you can get that little fade out. And then I'm going to go in with this blue here and do maybe another one over this way. Another one over here. One over this way. So, and you get the point. You can really get in here and do some fun things just with the colors. You know, you can have a few that are a little offset, where you might go ahead and just maybe add a couple of the same color that you're doing the squares with the gray, but it allows you an opportunity to kind of play around in more detail than you would if you had, you know, the bigger brushes, because that doesn't allow you to get in there and do the details that you can with something like this. So again, I'm just going to finish up here with the blue, and we're going to see how this turns out. I'm just doing the arrows that go right along lines with the squares at this point. Just kind of want to see what that's going to turn out like. And this is the mid-century modern stencil. And it's a fun geometric stencil too. You'll see it in a lot of the different designs that the design team used for this September release. So the brand ambassadors used it very creatively. I think it's one that you can actually, I twisted it around a little bit. So I think I've got one more right here. And then we'll go ahead and let's take a look at what we've got here. So there you've got a very cool pattern that you've done with a little bit more detail. You see there is some of the blending in the squares, but I think that's pretty cool. So you could go ahead and you could shift this a little bit more and do some other colors. You could, let's see, if you turned it over, I wonder what would happen. So if we turn this over and did other squares, the triangles would end up in other places. It looks like some of those squares are lining up where they were, which is kind of cool. So let's not do that on the other side until we clean this off. That's one of the things you got to remember. Clean off your stencil if you're going to turn it over, because you want to make sure that you're not taking any of that other ink on the other side. So it was on this side, so we were going to look at what this side looked like. So again, yeah, it's kind of lining up with some of these other squares here. So if we went ahead and kind of magnetic this down, you could use either the like this is a magnetic platform that you can use for stenciling. There's always pixie spray that you can use as well. So let's go ahead, and I think I'm going to do a few. I'm going to grab another color, I think, here. Let's see. Another one of my Concord colors. Let's grab a green, and a really bright green at that. So let's go ahead and grab the Sprout, and I'm going to put Sprout over here. I'm going to cover these other ones up right now because I'm not using them. I'm just going to use the Sprout at this point. And we'll get my Sprout brush, which is right here. And I'm going to come in those extra squares that are open, that aren't over these other colors. I'm just going to do a few of those and see what that turns out like. So I think that'll be really interesting. Let's see, here's one here. So there's one right there. So it just kind of gives you an interesting look, interesting ways to play with your stencils when you're looking at coming up with new patterns and everything. So let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing? I got that one. That one's there. I think that's going to do it. We'll just make sure we've got it all covered. So what I like about this is that this is a lighter color, and as you go over those darker colors, they show through. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what happened. So now you've added a few extra squares, and it has a totally different look, but it all goes together because you've got yellows and blues and greens and the grays. So I think that's pretty cool for starters. So let me get set up with another one, and we'll come back and take a look at that. Okay, for this next stencil, I'm using the cracked circles. I don't know if you can see that, but I've actually put pixie spray on the back of it. I'm just going to line it up here. Kind of press it down, and then I usually have I have a brayer. I take my brayer and I go over it a little bit here just to make sure that it's gonna stick, and it is sticking to the paper. Although my tape is no longer sticking to the board, and that's okay. We'll go ahead and use the magnets. And so for this stencil, I am going to actually use, again, three colors there. So I need to get my, let's see here. We have, let's see, nope, we don't have that one. We have a couple I don't think I've used yet. So I have Sorbet and Poppy and Grapefruit. Oh, where did Grapefruit go? Is this Grapefruit? Yep, that's Grapefruit. So I have those colors that I'm going to use. I want to kind of do a variegated stencil, but I'm also going to do it on a piece of colored paper too. So I've picked out the ballet slipper color. So I wanted to get all of those kind of in that family. And we notice I have not used Sorbet yet. So it is a clean brush. So we're going to break it in. So the lightest one is Grapefruit. Next medium is going to be Sorbet, and dark is going to be Poppy. So we're going to start with the Grapefruit. And so I'm going to kind of go in here, and I'm going to do some, I think I'm going to start with the circles, maybe some of the smaller ones. So we'll just go ahead and pick up some of that Grapefruit color here and just kind of go in and start to blend that around. I just kind of want to do these circles a little bit. And yeah, you can get a really nice coverage in a small space with, again, these wonderful Bitty Bunny blending brushes. Okay, say that 3 times fast. I've been thinking that in my head. Bitty Bunny blending brushes, Bitty Bunny blending brushes, Bitty Bunny blending brushes, Bitty Bunny blending brushes. Okay, it can be done. I'm not going to say it any more times fast because I probably will get my tongue tied on that one. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to do these small circles in that grapefruit. And so you see that when you're using it on different colored paper, what the intended color would be is usually a little darker, especially if it's the same color family. So I'm going to set that one aside here, and we're going to move on to the sorbet, and we're going to go ahead and break in this new Bitty Bunny blending brush. And I think I'll do the medium circles here. So we'll go ahead, and that gives it a nice, fun pinkish color, doesn't it? Okay. And I know these inks are nice and juicy because I re-inked them a little bit just to make sure I had enough for coverage. Let's see here, this is one too. That would be, that's a large, that's a large, that's a large, and that's a large. Okay, and that's a large. So this gives you, again, a little bit darker, but now I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the outer edges lightly of the small ones with this. And just kind of give it that shadow effect. Again, remember, you can tap it off and do things a little lighter. They don't have to be so dark. But the darker is probably more the truer color when you want to get that on there. So one more over here. Okay. And then we'll close this one up and put that brush aside. And then we will pop open the poppy. And we're going to do the poppy with the larger circles. Let's see here. Oh, and isn't that a beautiful color? Look at that. That's pretty darn cool. And I'm actually going to go out of this one with that blending. So you kind of get that halo effect. I'm going to move this a little bit because this is where we're going to go ahead and bring in a little bit more of that blending. And then over here, same sort of thing. Bring it out a little bit. Okay, now we got to move that one. And in this corner, bring it out. Oh, they're all in the corners, right? Except for that one in the middle. Okay, let's go ahead and start getting this bigger circle, and then again going out of those areas. And then let's see here. I think maybe because this corner one would be a large one, I'm going to go ahead and do that down here as well. All right, so that is my stencil design. We're going to go ahead and put that to the side, and let's lift up. I would lift it up, but there we go. Okay. Oh, that looks cool. That looks awesome. So that is using, again, the 3 colors with these wonderful little Bitty Bunny blending brushes. And let's take a look at the size again. So, I mean, that is a huge difference when you're looking at, you know, where you can get in some details. This, again, more full coverage. This, again, a lot more details. And let's see, how can I, okay, so let's take a pencil, because this will give you a better size as to how big these actually are. So this is just a white, white colored pencil, and then here is the top of the Bitty Bunny blending brush, so you can see the size difference with that, right? Okay, so now you know what kind of coverage you are getting. Again, real easy to clean, and this is just super cool. I love doing stencils with these brushes, and I'm going to do one more. So let's go ahead and clean up the space and come back in a second. Okay, so before we go on to the next stencil, have you guys ever done this? This is a really great tip and another great way that you can extend the life and the uses of what you're doing. So this stencil is the one we just used. We did it on a pink piece of cardstock and created this design. But we still have this ink on here. And so I have a little spritzer bottle. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to the side and I'm going to spray the top of this stencil. And what that's going to do, and I'll give me a second here. So as you can see, that makes things wet and gets it moving again. So we could do one of two things. We could flip that over really fast and put it on top of paper, or we can just set a piece of paper on top of it. And that's what I like to do. Set a piece of paper on top of it. Put a piece of paper towel on it, and then I have my little brayer here. So this is not moving around because I am holding it down, but the thing that's moving on top is actually the paper towel. So let's see what we get as a result from this. So now, and look at that. So there you've got two designs from one stenciling. Isn't that cool? This kind of reminds me of a spider web a bit, doesn't it? Super cool. So don't forget that you can utilize things a little bit longer in your supply list by just going ahead and thinking, how can I extend that? And adding a little water to those water reactive inks that you stencil will allow you to create another background. Give me a moment and we'll be back for that last step. Hey you guys, for this last stencil, this is the cat's eye stencil that came out last month. But Halloween is right around the corner and I couldn't resist utilizing this one. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of regular cardstock. It's 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I've just put down some of that, you know, the tape that you use. This happens to be mint tape. And what that's going to do is create a barrier. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize this stencil to create just that strip that's stenciled. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up as I want, and then I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to bring it down just a little, there we go. I think that's what I want. Put these magnets down to kind of hold it in place. So I've got that magnetic make it board. And so this is going to hold that stencil in place on top of the paper, and it's over that paper as well. So I've decided to use, I'm liking these colors for Halloween, you guys. I know it's non-traditional, but there's the blue and there's the orange. And the last card I made for my post before this release was the right shoe in orange with a beautiful blue door, and so I really like those two colors together. So that's what we're going to use. So the ocean side is a little darker, the marmalade's a bright orange, so we'll go ahead and I think we'll start with the orange. And this could be whatever you want it to be. I mean, it's called cat's eye because it kind of looks like a cat's eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some stencil in these areas, put some orange in these stencil areas here that kind of outline. This is kind of, I think this will be really cool when I get it done, because you can really follow that like a swirl and everything, because this happens to be like the right size, right? And I want it a little dark, so let's go ahead and add a little more of that juice to it. So go ahead and do the other side. So see that the way that swerve, that curve kind of goes, that's what I want to follow. And then on the inside I'm going to use that blue, and we'll see how that turns out. I think it'll be really, really awesome. So I hope you are finding this really fun and interesting. But these bitty blending brushes, again, these bitty bunny blending brushes, you know, are awesome to get into crevices and get into close little tight spaces. If you just have a little bit that you want to blend on, I mean, you know, I don't utilize a whole stencil all the time, so it works out really nice to be able to do that as well, where you're just using just a portion of it. And this way, what I'm doing here is we're not using the entire stencil, we're just using this area here is what we're doing. So we're giving it a little bit of definition with the ink that we're working with. And so, okay, so that's what I've got for the marmalade. So let's go ahead. Now I know that the blue is going to kind of blend into the marmalade a little bit, and that's my intention, that's what I want. So let's go ahead and take that ocean side. I'm just going to kind of start here and just kind of blend it. And come over here and do the same. I want it a little bit dark in those areas and kind of blending out. And then I'm just going to kind of circle it around that first. Let's do this more here. that first little, those first little humps that kind of come away from that eye. That looks pretty amazing. You know, everybody, designs are fun to do, fun to create, especially when you have different colors. So experiment with what you've got. You know, go non-traditional. You don't have, this almost, you know what, this could almost look like a peacock feather when it comes, not with the orange, but you know, when you think about it, with that fun blue. So let's go ahead and get some more in here and blend it out a little bit. So I think this will be really, really fun to put a card on, and we'll have to see what it looks like when I get those that paper off the masking area. Look at that, isn't that cool? I do see an area here of orange that I need to go pick back up again. Okay, let's get that right here. There we go. Did I miss any other areas? Let's just double check here. So yeah, I think we're good. Okay. If I see any other areas, we can always go and pick that up. So let's go ahead and finish off these last 3 little eyes, as I like to call them, the irises. Make that a little darker in that middle area. And then blend that out. Same thing here. Blend it out. This is pretty cool. This is a fun one, so... They've all been fun, actually. Stenciling is like my jam. I love a good stencil. I'm a stencil addict. Do I use them all the time? Not all the time, but I love to create my own backgrounds. I often forget I have printed paper because I love to stencil. So, all right. So I think this is done. So let's go ahead and put those off to the side, and let's take a look and reveal this last one. So here's the cat's eye. We'll set that aside. Look at that. Whoo! How does that look? Okay, that is fun. Look at that. Just by putting a little bit of masking on, this is a really cool color. I am digging this. This is going to be a fun one to create a card with. Don't you think? You could go either this way or this way. Wow. I think that's stunning. Okay, I'm in love with this one. See why I like stenciling so much? So you can go check out the Rabbit Hole Designs and look up the Bitty Bunny blending brushes. I have put a link in the description below, and that is my affiliate link. So if you decide that you want to purchase some through my link, I get a small little kickback from it, just a few cents on the dollar, and it helps support what I do and what I can provide for you, and also trying new products. But also, it doesn't cost you any more to do that. It's a great way to support your fellow artists. So if you see those affiliate links and you like what they're doing, please go ahead and support them. They work really hard to get out good videos and good content. And there's some of us like me that are trying to do that and trying to get comfortable with that as well. So it is a process, and there's a bit of intimidation with it, I will tell you that. So I love these bitty blending brushes. They work out really fun to do your stenciling. So there's the cat's eye, and there's the crack circle and the mid-modern, mid-century modern. There we go. So those are the stencils that I used, and these are the 2 from the new releases. So go check out the brand ambassadors for the Rabbit Hole Designs, see what they've come up with these fun new things that we're doing. And there is one more product coming, so stay tuned and we will share that with you. But these, again, the Bitty blending brushes, the Bitty Bunny blending brushes. Again, say that 3 times fast, and go get a set, try them out, see what you think. Let me know, and please feel free to leave a comment below in whether you like them, whether you find them interesting, whether you want me to try something new. I'm curious to hear what you think. Thanks, you guys, and have a crafty day.